Welcome to True Crime Stories for English Learners, where real-life mysteries meet clear and simple English.
The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist, U.S., 1990. It was after midnight on March 18, 1990. Boston was quiet. The streets were empty. The night was cold, and a light wind moved through the city. Inside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, two young security guards sat in their small office. One guard played music on a radio. The other guard looked at the old cameras on the screen. Nothing unusual was happening. The museum was silent like every other night. But at 1:24 a.m., something strange happened. A police car stopped in front of the museum. Two men in police uniforms stepped out. They wore hats and badges. They walked with confidence, like real officers. The security guards did not know it yet, but the next 80 minutes would become one of the most famous art thefts in history. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was a special place. It was not a modern museum. It was an old building designed to look like a European palace. Inside were beautiful rooms filled with rare art collected by Isabella Stewart Gardner, a rich woman who loved culture and history. The museum had paintings by famous artists: Rembrandt, Vermeer, Monet, Degas. Some of these paintings were more than 300 years old. Many were extremely valuable. Together, the museum's art collection was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In 1990, the museum had simple security. The guards were young and not well trained. The cameras were old. The alarms were basic. And there was one important rule: never let anyone into the museum after hours. But that night, the guards broke the rule. At 1:24 a.m., the two fake police officers rang the museum's side doorbell. One guard, named Rick, answered through the intercom. The fake officer said, "Police, we received a call about a disturbance. Open the door." Rick looked at the camera. He saw the police uniforms. He saw the flashing lights from the car. It looked real. He opened the door. The two men stepped inside. They were friendly but firm. They told Rick to call the other guard. They said they needed to check everyone inside the building. Rick felt nervous but trusted them. He called the second guard. Both guards stood in the security office while the fake officers spoke to them. Then everything changed. One fake officer said, "Gentlemen, you look familiar. I think there is a warrant out for your arrest." Rick looked confused. "What? For me?" he asked. "Step away from the desk," the officer said. The guards followed the order. The fake officer looked at Rick and said calmly, "Lock the door. This is a robbery." Before the guards could react, the fake officers took control. They tied the guards' hands with duct tape. They taped their legs. They told the guards to be quiet and not to panic. The guards were then taken to the basement. They were tied to pipes and left on the floor. The guards were scared, but they were not hurt. The robbers were calm and polite. They spoke quietly and moved with confidence. Now the museum was completely theirs. At 1:48 a.m., the two thieves began their work. They did not run. They did not rush. They knew exactly what they wanted. First, they went to the Dutch room. This room had some of the most famous paintings in the museum. The thieves stood in front of The Concert by Johannes Vermeer. This painting was extremely rare, one of only 34 Vermeers in the world. They cut the painting out of its frame with a knife. They rolled it up and placed it in a tube. Next, they removed Storm on the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt. This was Rembrandt's only seascape. They cut it out too. They also took another Rembrandt painting, A Lady and Gentleman in Black. Then they removed a small but valuable object called a finial, a metal eagle from the top of a Napoleonic flag. After that, they collected several drawings by Degas. The drawings were small, so they were easy to carry. The thieves moved quickly but calmly. They knew which works were valuable and which were not. They ignored many paintings that were worth millions. This made experts believe they had been given a list. At 2:28 a.m., after nearly 80 minutes inside the museum, the thieves returned to the guards in the basement. They checked the tape, tightened it, and said, "Don't call anyone. Wait a while." Then they left through the same side door. They disappeared into the night with 13 pieces of art worth more than $500 million. It was the largest art theft in modern history. At 8:15 a.m. the next morning, the day shift arrived at the museum. They tried to open the side door, but something felt wrong. There was no answer from the night guards. The door did not open. They called the police. When the officers entered the building, they found the museum strangely silent. Frames on the walls were empty. Glass was on the floor. Some rooms looked untouched, but others looked like someone had worked inside for a long time. Then they heard voices from the basement. The police rushed downstairs and found the two guards tied to the pipes. The guards were shaken and confused. They had been there for almost 7 hours. They explained everything: the fake police, the arrest trick, the tape, and the calm behavior of the thieves. The police realized this was not a random crime. It was a professional operation. The FBI took control of the case. Agents came from all over the country. Art experts, museum specialists, and security analysts began studying what happened. The thieves had moved carefully and confidently. They ignored many expensive artworks. They focused on pieces that were small and easy to carry. This suggested they had a plan, and maybe even a buyer waiting. The FBI checked the video recordings, but the museum's cameras were old. The images were blurry and unclear. The thieves' faces could not be identified. There were no fingerprints, no footprints, no DNA left behind. The thieves worked like ghosts. The FBI interviewed hundreds of people: museum workers, former guards, local police, art dealers, and criminals known for art theft. But no solid lead appeared. The FBI believed the thieves were part of an organized crime group. Boston had many such groups at the time. Some were known for robberies and smuggling, but they found no proof. One theory connected the heist to a local gang member who had connections with art thieves. Another theory pointed to two criminals who often dressed as police officers. Both men were questioned, but there was no evidence linking them directly to the crime. Many years passed. Some of the suspects died. Others went to prison for different crimes. But the paintings never showed up. In 1994, the museum received a letter. The writer claimed to know where the paintings were. He wanted money and a promise of immunity. But when the FBI responded, the writer disappeared. The letter was the first real clue, and it led nowhere. In 1997, a second letter appeared. It sounded similar to the first one. It tried to negotiate again. But soon, the writer stopped communicating. The FBI believed this person had real information, but they never found out who it was. In the early 2000s, the FBI followed new theories. Some agents believed the art had been taken to Connecticut. Others believed it traveled to Philadelphia. One tip claimed the paintings were hidden in a house basement. Another tip said they were stored inside a warehouse. But every search ended with nothing. In 2013, the FBI announced something important. They believed they knew who the thieves were. They did not say the names because the suspects were dead, but they said the stolen art had probably moved through criminal networks in New England and then to other cities. Still, the paintings did not appear. Today, the value of the stolen art is more than $600 million. It remains the most valuable art ever stolen from a museum. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum still has empty frames on the walls where the paintings once hung. They leave them there on purpose, a reminder, a hope, that the art will return someday. The museum also offers a $10 million reward for information leading to the recovery of the artworks. It is one of the largest rewards ever offered by a museum. More than 30 years later, the heist is still a mystery. The paintings are still missing. No arrests have ever been made. No museum in the world has seen these masterpieces again. Visitors who walk through the Dutch Room today stop and look at the empty frames. The frames are old and beautiful, but inside them is nothing but blank space. They stand quietly on the wall, waiting for something that may never return. Outside the museum, the city of Boston has changed. New buildings have grown, new people walk the streets, but the story of the heist remains the same. A calm night, 2 fake police officers, and a perfect crime. Some people believe the art is hidden in a private collection. Others think it was destroyed long ago. Some hope the paintings will appear suddenly, just like they disappeared. The truth is still unknown. The thieves took more than art that night. They took answers, certainty, and closure. And so the empty frames wait, silent, patient, and hopeful, just like the city that still wonders what really happened on that cold night in 1990.
Another dark chapter closed, but the mystery of human nature continues. Thanks for listening to True Crime Stories for English Learners. Don't forget to subscribe and join me next time for another real story that's stranger than fiction.